Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Builder's Workshop. We have Shawn Calderone here. We also have the benefactor with us, the benefactor. And we're looking to rock out some circuits today. Gerald's going to be presenting a little bit later. Shawn's got it up first. He's going to lead us off here. Shawn, you want to tell us what it is, and then we'll get into it?
Sure. Thank you so much, Nathan. So I just thought I would provide a status update on some of the projects I'm working on. I do have plans for next Wednesday to give a detailed step-by-step on how to build a simple ZVS and get it to resonate with different objects. And so that's pretty exciting. But here is just a high-level view of what I have right now on my desk. And so when you're ready, Nathan, we can just start with slide 1.
There you go. It's a video.
Oh my! It says 100. I think that's 12. Nice poster I sent you.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
What are we looking for, Shawn? That might help. Just tell me what it is.
It's the Rodin Coil 3D prints, the multicolored.
Multicolor. Okay, there we go.
Blue and gold. Mm-hmm. All right. So Ben's been an inspiration to me with his awesome coils, but I tried to print sort of those 100 pretzel impossible designs on my 3D printer, and then I tried to assemble it and wind it, and yeah, it's just too hard. So I thought I would sweat a little blood and over the 3D printer and design a 24 node Rodin coil jig, I guess what you'll call it. And it's one continuous revolution. So it's not multiple lines, multiple channels. It's something that goes completely one turn around or revolution through each 24 lines. And so,
awesome.
Yeah, so I have some plans, one with Litz wire. I'm going to do another one where I'm going to put 1,000 turns of small wire on it and put it in some epoxy and see how it acts with the ZVS, put some high voltage out of it. Also, I have some sphere magnets. I was going to play around inside of it. So this is what I'm putting together. Now, the multicolor is not on purpose. My printer has a mind of its own. So yeah, you're seeing a metallic blue and a gold iridium. This was my very first print of the Bedini. I'm sorry, not Bedini. The Rodin coil, and I took some PVC pipe, 23 gauge wire, and this was my learning coil, if you will, the jig. So I thought I'd just share that. It's one of my projects, and so then really I just wanted to kind of share the Death Star, if you guys remember the sphere, the high voltage sphere.
Yeah.
So if you can, let's see, it's 5. Okay, so you're clicking on the videos. So what you're seeing here, and I'm going to run through all of these videos with you, is the new ZVS circuit that I've designed and how it's reacting with the 4-inch sphere. There it is. I'm not getting sound here, Nathan. So there we go. What I was able to do with the new ZVS is reach my 1 million volt goal, and I'll show you which video shows you almost 18-inch arcs from it. This one's a test, so kind of get you an idea what it's doing. And one thing to note about these arcs is they're very purple, whereas when you look at Tesla coils, they're a lot brighter in the white spectrum. They're not this purple, so that's something very unique to this sphere.
It's the dark side, Shawn.
Again?
You have a Death Star coil. It's the dark side.
Nice. Yeah. Exactly. So that'll be something I'm exploring. If you could go to the next video, Nathan, that'd be great. if you can, I think it's 17. If you can find 17 MP4, I think that's the one. Okay, so here's some of the O-scope signals that I'm catching. And so that weird bubbly line there is the secondary coil, the sphere, resonating. So you notice on the left, it has this sort of one line, and then it starts to go up and down until toward the right, it sort of almost fills the screen. That's basically, if you could imagine sitting on a swing in the playground and you start pumping your legs. And as you pump your legs, you get higher and higher on the swing. That's what you're seeing there, right there. That's what you're seeing when you go look left to right, where it starts out as a small squiggly line, gets larger and larger as it goes to the right. That entire pulse, if you will, is occurring around 89,000 times per second, just to give you a little bit of context. Now, what you're seeing here is this is okay. So the skinny one is the second, is the sphere, and the larger lines, the outside of that is the primary coil, the copper piping that you're seeing at the bottom of the sphere. So this is kind of a basic update. I just wanted to share this with you guys. I think if we can click on 17, Nathan, the last video file, that would be great, because that's going to really show where I break my 1 million volt mark.
Wow, this is so cool, Shawn.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate everybody in the chat. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, everybody loves your stuff.
Shawn, there's no numbers on it, so I'm just kind of blindly guessing. So you're going to have to just tell me what it looks like.
Okay, so there's two videos that are completely black. They show up as an icon that are completely black. Can you see them? So so this is one of them. And we're not hearing the sound, Nathan. Is that possible? Also, can you zoom it in a little bit? That'd be great. So this is not the right one. If we can go to the next really dark one. It's funny how the sound keeps going out. So one of the things here is that the whole room is electrified. That's the one. Thank you, Nathan. If we can zoom back into that one and add the sound. So what you're seeing here is that these plasma discharges are actually reaching a point measured to about 18 inches. So you're seeing it just come right off the camera view. And the camera view is about 12 inches, about 10 to 12 inches. Now, and believe it or not, this is the picture one. There's a video that's even more powerful than this one. This is 60 volts input. It's about 2,000 volts coming into it. There's one, Nathan, that plays, and then it gets clicked off because I blow the breaker. That's the big one. I'm sorry about being so picky, Nathan. You're doing a great job. I appreciate it. So there are 5 videos, 2 black ones, and one of the 2 black ones is the where I reach 69 volts. I can't get to 70. It draws 110 volts from the socket and 20 amps. So that's all my house can provide. Hopefully this one's it. Well, I'll do a better job in naming these, Nathan. I apologize.
No, it doesn't have any names on it whatsoever, and there's 5 black videos. So
yeah,
I'm completely lost on which one you're looking for. I'm just clicking on all of them to see which one does it.
I appreciate that. You missed the one I wanted every time. It's
Oh,
okay. It's
there's
okay.
one. It just shows a fan in the background. Let me see if there's one more. Hold on.
Okay.
Someone called you the next Eric Dollard, bro.
Oh wow, that's such a high compliment. Wow, you guys are awesome. Thank you guys.
Well, I have to agree. You're very impressive work. You got very impressive work going on.
Thank you so much, Ben. That means a lot. You're an inspiration to me, so I appreciate that.
I'm glad. I'm glad I inspired some people. This is cool.
Thank you. Yeah. So I'm about 4 feet away, and the whole room is electrified, and it's. I use the word terrifying. That's probably being a drama queen, but it's so powerful. It's just hard to put into words. And when Nathan gets to the one where
I don't think I'm going to find it. I
worries. No
clicked
worries.
on all of them.
What's the safe distance for that?
So the strange thing about this is it doesn't like to go to ground. So normally when you see arcs like this and sparks, if you bring a wire that's connected to ground and held in your hand, but of course you're holding like an insulated rod, when you bring the ground wire over to any arc or spark, it's immediately going to just drain right into it. It's not going to go flying everywhere like it is now and just ignore the ground wire. But for some reason, and I'm going to show this in next week's presentation, but this electricity really doesn't like to play with anybody. It likes to just be itself. So anything I bring next to it, it ignores. But yet I'm about 4 feet away. I have my fire extinguisher, my face mask. I mean, I'm ready because there's so much power in the room. And the fact that, like you're seeing here, that's probably a 12 inch right there, 10 to 12. It's just, you can't get it over video. You just can't. And I'm going to try really to different angles and see if I can really get that effect next week. But again,
do you think like this could be an effect of you like exciting negative energy to a plasma state, and as opposed to like the traditional like positive energy that we normally excite?
That's a really good question, Ben. That really is. Not
because
sure.
Negative energy just flies through everything. You know, it doesn't follow the conductor.
I mean, it's acting like that. It's very strange. That's a really good question, Ben. I'll have to look into that. In fact, Nathan and I were talking about negative energy before we started this. Thanks for pausing these and running them slow, Nathan. They're really good to really kind of explain. So there's another couple fascinating points. One of them is nothing's hot. Nothing's hot. I'll run my infrared camera, and everything is basically, warm to touch. The transistors, the resistors are warm to touch, but it's so efficient. The new ZBS, my new ZBS design, it's so efficient that nothing gets hot. Everything is just a fine oiled machine. And the closer I get to resonance, the real true resonance of the sphere, it just grows inch by inch in the arcs. And so, and I have this, it's kind of fun. When I get in now, walk into the lab, I have the Variac right next to my desk, and I just crank it and I start working. It's flying in the background. It's because I never get tired of it. It's
got the Iron Man music going.
There you go. There
the real power of the dark side.
You know, the arcs go totally with your voice. That's awesome. Yeah, it looks diabolical or menacing, doesn't it?
It is really cool. It's a beautiful arc. Look at that. It's a brilliant, like it's almost like the Ori Chalcom that we see on the Hutchinson samples, you know?
Yeah, these pictures, by the way, are not doing it the same justice I'm seeing. Okay, and I can't zoom it in, and I'm sorry for that, but I can tell you these things are way more massive than you think they are.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
So,
like maybe the brightness is a little off on the StreamYard.
oh no. So, for instance, right now, you look at that. That's got to be close to 18 inches to 2 feet, right there.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's hard to tell that.
That thing is massive. You can kind of see it better when you're watching the video like in Facebook, but yeah, it's like this. I can't really see it.
Anything off the screen is about 14 inches. So you're kind of seeing it go off the screen at the top. And I kept trying to get it in the camera. It's funny because these are still the weak ones.
Yeah.
The big one is where I get to 69 volts. So when I get to 60 volts, it looks like this: input 60 volts AC, and then I have a couple diodes into a positive hump, if you will, half the sine wave, the positive side of the sine wave. That goes in to the ZVS. The ZVS then goes right to the sphere, and it excites it through the copper piping at the bottom of the copper bowl. And then that copper bowl resonates with the sphere, and the sphere then outputs that plasma discharge. So it's actually a dance. I think is the way to say it. You have to get each piece to dance with the other one, and this is not yet tuned 100%. Tuning 100%, it just starts ripping the atmosphere all around the room, and I have to figure out how to get further away from it.
You got to contain it, yeah,
and really push it to its limit. So that concludes. That's just a little update on some projects I have. This is like 3 of 8 that I'm working on. And I appreciate your time, guys. If you guys have any questions, it'd be great to see them in the chat.
Yeah, we'll put up any questions that anybody has for you.
Yeah,
Thank
Ben, you want to run through that?
Yep. Let's see. I'm going to scroll up a little bit, see if anybody had any questions.
Well, there's a lot of comments in there about what he did. Show those. I didn't get to see them. I was busy.
Sure, Mr. Lanos. Mr. Lanos. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. ZVS is the new Slayer. Yeah, it's a new kid on the block. It's Jacob's Ladder with magnetic quench.
We got one from Sears that I've missed. My bad.
Shawn, is there a cylinder sphere volume relationship in your ball coil? Cylinder sphere. So the geometry of winding the sphere is that it has 360-degree rings, or you can call them grooves, and there's 100 grooves. The coil, the sphere is only about 4 inches in diameter, and there's 100 grooves that are about 1 millimeter apart or half a millimeter apart, and like 3 millimeters deep. And so then I wind them with 32 gauge magnet wire. I then put it in 2-part epoxy in the vacuum chamber to remove all bubbles. And so that's basically the sphere. And then it has a beginning of the windings and the end of the windings. It's about 2,500 to 3,000 turns of wire. It has like a 400 ohms resistance. It has an interesting capacitance. Oh, I have my stats right here. If you don't mind sharing. It has a 370 milliohms of inductance. It has 68 nanofarads of capacitance. Its resonant frequency is about 90 kilohertz. It has 404 ohms of resistance. That's a lot of wire to get that resistance. Like I said earlier, it's 32 gauge magnet wire. I tried, I really tried to use Ohm's law to figure out the voltage of the secondary. If you Google it, there's some respectable physics websites that say anywhere around 30,000 to 75,000 volts per inch if it breaks into the air for corona discharges. But I'm not really entirely sure if that's accurate, because as the air is ionized, the resistance goes down. And so therefore, when 1 inch of the arc reaches out, then the next inch is kind of already ready for it, and it'll take it with less resistance. So my guess is that each inch of the discharge reduces in resistance, and therefore can't be the same voltage that you'll read where, oh, it's 75,000 volts per inch. I would agree that's the first inch, and then it sort of, I guess, reduces from there. But I have some respectable websites also that say you get over 1.1 feet, then you've achieved 1,000,000 volts. And all volts aren't made the same. So when I say it's reached over 1,000,000 volts, I'm saying that there's 110 volts, 20 amps coming in from the wall. Then it's converted to 69 volts AC into the ZVS. From what I can tell, it's about 18 amps. And then it hits the sphere and converts into over 1,000,000 volts. And so if you track that with Ohm's law, my guess is it's in the microamps. At least the microamps. I think it would be dangerous to be around if it was in the milliamps. I would need way larger equipment to get it into the milliamps. So those are the specs. I hope that answers the question. Sorry, it was a bit long.
No, you're good. All right. What's going on, Joe? Gerald? Everybody's here. Victor's here.
Could he repeat the capacitance again?
Sure. It's 68.33 nanofarads.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, I increased the capacitance when I encase it in 2-part epoxy, and that makes sense. You're mixing a lot of wire with insulators, and so your insulators are acting like a dielectric. So that makes sense. And every formula on the internet that I've tried to calculate the voltage doesn't work. One formula gave me 466 million volts. And so my math is wrong, and it seems like almost nobody knows how to do it. So, yeah.
Have you seen the calculations that Eric Dollard and Griffin Brock came up with on eMedia Press or Aaron's site? Because they did some work on it that involves the velocity factor of the wire, and they reduced the speed of light factor from 300 over your megahertz frequency in megahertz to 297 for the frequency in megahertz.
Okay.
They've got a calculator for coils then from it on their site.
So Eric Dollard is a website?
Yeah. In fact, I have a link to something that might be of interest. We're talking sacred geometry and Tesla coils that comes from Eric Dollard and an individual that he's working with named Dr. Adrian Marsh from England or Britain or somewhere, if you want to see it.
I'd appreciate the link. Can we connect over Facebook Messenger offline? And I'd love to correspond with you.
I'll share. Okay, well, I'll share this link if it's okay.
Yeah, go for it. Put it in chat.
Mr. Lanius said he would love to see a diagram of the sphere if you have one, Shawn.
Oh, sure. I'll give diagrams for everything.
Whoops, I think I'm in private chat. Yep. No wonder I wasn't seeing anything.
Hey, Victor, can you repeat that frequency change that you're talking about that Eric Dollard was involved in? I only caught a bit of that.
The frequency change?
Well, what were you just saying about the calculation that Eric Dollar just did?
Oh, when you're converting wavelength and frequency, there's math that's 300. It's supposed to be speed of light, right? 300 divided by your frequency of the band you're trying to make your antenna for. So it's 300 divided by frequency in megahertz will equal the wavelength, lambda. And that's in meters. So then you convert your meters to inches if you're working with inches, or you convert it to your sacred cubits or whatever, and that'll give you the length of the wire you need for your sacred wavelength.
That's
But they took it and used the velocity factor of like coax cable and the power transmission stuff that Eric works with, and they reduced the 300 down to 297 over frequency. But you should probably check their site. And I got a link there. And this guy generates golden fractal discharges with a really high pressure Tesla coil that he has built. That's not vertical; it's linear or horizontal.
Yes,
it's a rather interesting system.
Is it the cosmic coil?
No. This is a totally different system, and so he's hooked up with Eric and the labs there, and it's some pretty cool stuff. I don't know. I mean, you could play the link for yourselves and see what's going on, or because it's like a couple hours long, so I don't think we want to play it now. But golden ratio discharges, and he's got a new one recently in one of their last Zoom calls where he's got a fractal dragon, which is a double-sided discharge showing polar spin activity.
Wow.
Like I say, this is a really high-pressure modified system. This man is a doctor in it, and he's focused on it. He's into Toltec distribution of information and the Akashic and the whole thing. So he's open-minded individual and aware. So,
do you have the name of that person?
Dr. Adrian Marsh.
I've heard of him
at aminnovations.com.
I actually corresponded with him once because I wanted to buy his vacuum diode. That's beautiful, old Russian surplus. And he said, no, you can get it on eBay for $90. But I didn't read what was on his website. I do have a link to it, so I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Great.
Good stuff.
All right, guys, we got to get Gerald in here. He didn't present last week, so we got to get him to present his circuits before we go with everything else.
I'm so excited.
You ready, Gerald? Tell me you're ready.
No.
Why is the camera just showing his head?
All right.
I'm kidding. You know what? I'm not going to bullshit you. I was doing some experiments with my new coil, and I blew like 5 transistors yesterday, and I was so bummed out until I figured out what was going on that I didn't finish what I was supposed to today. I do have the circuit, but I didn't test it because I was just pissed right off. Now that I figured out what was going on, I should be excited. But
yeah,
I'm still waiting for all my transistors to come in. So I apologize. I mean, I can show some stuff, but I haven't been able to test with the big coil because it's out of commission for the time being. Its bubbles have grown to the size where it's making me nervous.
Where it's making you nervous? More than you were before?
Just a little. Because they're now contained and they're growing. And they're not stopping the growing. So what does that mean? I don't know. So
means the pressure's building.
What's that?
That means the pressure's got to be building, huh?
So I've stopped testing with it, right? And I look back at my notes and there's a way of draining it. I just haven't done it yet. So everything for me got put on hold, and I apologize. I flaked out, guys.
You're
Oh,
I don't
awesome.
know what else
Jerome.
to tell you. I can give you the circuit. I can even show it to you, but I haven't tested it. So
It's
at
Murphy's
least the one
law.
that I built. What's that?
Murphy's law.
Well, I haven't gotten the MJE 13009. I ordered like 4 packs of them, and there's 10 in each pack, and I'm still waiting. I got my meter and I got the scope, but I haven't gotten that. So I was working with what I had to try and show the test for today. And yesterday with this new coil, it just blew everything. I figured out how to, what's the word I'm looking for? Tap the top of the wave.
okay, real quick. Before we get into that, because I want us to do it, I just want you to show everybody the bubbles on the coil.
Wait, why don't I show you the new video that's on my desktop instead?
Oh, okay.
Do you mind if I comment on these bubbles real quick?
Sure.
So when I was in the Navy, I was stationed on a destroyer, and it was a freshly built destroyer built on the Kennebec River in Maine. And so in order to test the new destroyer, is that they have to do what's called shock trials. And what shock trials are is they light up enough TNT where the explosion in the ocean next to the ship is like 50 times bigger than the ship, the water coming out. And what they're showing is that a direct hit is not as bad as a indirect hit. And the reason for that is there's this traveling bubble under the ocean, and it's looking for something to attach to. And so what happens is after the explosion, the bubble goes to the ship and starts pulsing on it. Basically looks like this picture here. It attaches to the ship and it starts pulsing the ship. And you can see 18-inch thick steel bend like rubber. The whole ship turns into rubber. And then after that, we do our trials. And so when I saw this, I thought, oh no, that's shock trials. Those bubbles are adhering to there to pulse the conductors, and it's just a natural act of bubbles in a fluid.
Again, fluid dynamics.
That's possible. That's certainly possible, except I'm seeing some weird anomalies in these bubbles. Let me share screen and I'll see if I can.
I'll take this one down.
This is a really cool shot, by the way. A close-up shot of your coil and the bubbles.
Yeah. That's for
sure.
sure.
I got this 1,000 times scope. Let's see if I got the yeah. I got this 1,000 times scope that helps me with that. How do I do that?
Oh, I see in the chat cavitation.
There.
Yeah, it's a good word for it.
So this is one of them. Now, do you see this big bubble here?
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
If you look on the end, I don't know if you can see my mouse. Can you see my mouse?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you look on the end here, there's lines that look like a reflection that are all coming to this one point. And if you see here, it looks like there's bubbles within this bubble, and it almost looks like they're birthing these bubbles directly. So
it's awesome.
Video shifts here, and it goes to the other side.
Yeah, that's really prominent right there. I think you're onto something right there.
Yeah.
And it shows the same thing over here, except over here, the bubbles are bunching. And it looks like they're trying to get in. It's
like it's polarized.
Like it's polarized, yeah.
Can you show the center of the...
That's so cool, dude.
Yeah.
What does the center look like again?
Sorry?
That center, is that your light ring or was there a discharge
yes,
there?
that's a light ring that's there that you're seeing there.
Wow. That's awesome.
So there wasn't a discharge that could have heated it? Wow.
No, it doesn't get hot, this coil.
And you vacuum most of the gas out? That's
well, see, now here's the odd part. When I first made this, when I first put it in epoxy, I didn't vacuum it out, but there was zero bubble. Like there was 1 or 2 bubbles, I showed it to Jeremiah Pop, and he was impressed how clear it came out. And I let it set for like 2 weeks before I did any tests, maybe even 3. I'm not sure. And then as soon as I started testing, bubbles started showing up in the epoxy. And then these started showing up because there are bubbles in there that are getting bigger. And as they get bigger, they start looking like this oval one. And there's bubbles on either side. There's multiple spots in this coil that are, or this epoxy that are doing this right now. So it's, I don't know quite how to understand it other than possible exotic vacuum objects.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we found that you were creating some kind of plasmoid structure or, you know, microball lightning in there.
You're muted, Victor.
That's interesting because where's the displacement for, you know, where the bubbles are forming? Where is that manifesting in the system? Is it just pressurizing the epoxy around it, or, you know?
Well,
Right.
if it was
Yeah, where's the
pressure,
material going?
yeah, well, that's the thing. If it was pressurizing the epoxy, you'd see bubbles on the outside, right? Because it would push that pressure eventually out. It's not.
Yeah,
So,
that's why I asked that question. I was like, there should be some kind of indication of that. So there's got to be some form of, material removal. But you'd probably benefit from drilling into one of the holes and seeing what the inside of the pocket is like. Yeah, because if it's solid, that might be like dematerialization.
Oh,
maybe.
I got a point. Do you have any near field sensors, kind of like Sheila uses, little coils or a near field magnetic probe or anything like that you could put near the bubble when you turn it on to see if there's activity?
You mean like a pickup coil, so to speak?
An inductor or magnetic sensor, any probes that you could use to try to find a quantitative difference at that bubble site, a vortex, anything.
Oh, well, there's vortexes all around this coil. Like, there's actually 24. There's, when it's pulsing the primary, I get 12 on the outside that are rotating to the counterclockwise, and then I get 12 on the outside just off from that are rotating clockwise. So it's almost like all the way around it. That's why I kind of wonder if I'm producing those things, because those bubbles are, I said, they're getting bigger.
Well, you looked at it. You looked at it before you ran it, right? I mean,
yeah. And there was like 0 bubbles.
So I have like a lot of experience working with epoxy, pouring deep epoxy and stuff like that, and bubbles just don't, create or expand out of nowhere.
Yeah,
they don't just appear. They're either there or they're not when it's cured.
Yep. And it was cured before I started experimenting.
The only thing that comes to mind, although the shape wouldn't be explained by it, because it's a bubble, but if epoxy is not impermeable to heat, and it is ultimately a polymer, so it is.
I don't use heat in my system. Well, okay, there's heat in my system, but I direct the heat where I want it to go, and usually I leave it either in the circuit or I'll put it on one of my outside coil pickup coils. The center of it gets cold, and if I put aluminum underneath it, that aluminum gets super cold.
Yeah, right? That shouldn't be happening. That's the point. So however they're forming, even though it's got a little bit of give, I've broken and cracked epoxy before when it's fully cured too. So for it to habitate's a great word for that, I suppose. For it to ultimately form a perfect pocket of a bubble like that, and then even form bubbles within that structure as well, without there being stress, cracks, or anything like that in the epoxy. I mean, it's resilient, but it's not. It is a rigid material too.
Yeah, true. What were you going to say, Vic?
Torsion. Oh, go ahead.
Torsion? Oh, there's a torsion field there. There's actually
there's 2 passing. You're going to get many torsions between the fields passing. So that ring of vortices is going to be, you possibly have a focal point.
Well, I do. I draw here, but I just wrote all this on the board. But I have like 2 torsion fields, one that comes in the top and one that comes up through the bottom, depending how I'm pulsing it. If I'm just pulsing the one, I get the one that comes in the top and it pushes it all out the side, right? That's where I put my pickup coils on the outside of the big ring coil. And then on the bottom, it forms almost like a, I don't know how to explain that, almost like a double half bubble that goes into the inside, right? The minute I put the 2 pulses on the primary and the secondary, that secondary cone forms, and the power doubles inside all the pickup coils. Things start spinning quicker, and all kinds of stuff happens.
You can manipulate that field geometry just with the signal a little bit.
Yeah, and my new coil, yeah, it does that and a whole lot more.
Gerald.
Yeah, yours is a true vortex coil.
Hey, Gerald, quick question.
Okay, go ahead.
Did you write down the parameters for the epoxy bubbles to replicate it?
You mean how to put the epoxy in and the whole, what I used and
Correct. Yeah, and
yeah, all those details. They're written down before any of these bubbles even form.
Awesome.
Everything I do, I have notes for. I got way too many notes.
So would we be able to connect maybe on Facebook Messenger and share these notes?
I got hacked and haven't been able to get into Facebook for 3 years.
Oh no.
I can't get. I just tried last week. I got 2 of them on video. I'm gonna try the rest of them and get that on video as well. I tried last week. I can't get Instagram still, and I can't get X. I can't get Discord. I can't get none of it. None of it. Facebook, nothing. They'll never send me back emails. It's like there's somebody watching my emails and going,
You got to create a new email account and try again. Hopefully they don't have your IP.
That.
Yeah?
I tried that. Yeah, it doesn't work.
You've been hacked.
I've been hacked hard. I lost my first YouTube channel, my Facebook, my Discord, all of that. And then I got locked out of it. And then I opened up this channel to continue my work. But I haven't been able to get any other social media ever since. It's like somebody doesn't want me to get my message out, which is fine. That's, whatever. I'll pass it on to people that want to hear it. Whatever.
We want to hear it, Gerald.
I'm passing it to you guys. Don't get me wrong. That's not what I mean. But
sure.
Like the powers that ought not be, I would call them. They don't want to hear it. Well, not my problem. I don't know what to say to that, right? But yeah, this new coil that I just did, I'm gonna show testing on it. I wish I was ready for it today. I didn't understand what was going on with it, and I was blowing the 2N0355 Jewel Thief circuit on the plexiglass. Man, blue smoke. And it don't smell pretty, I'm telling you. And I only tested the coil once when that happened. So I didn't understand what was happening. I made wrapped a quarter wave into my geometrical coil. And I've only got 12 feet bifilar or trifilar on this coil. And I'm getting 96 volts peak to peak. I'm reaching like 480 volts with my pickup coils, and I'm able to tap the top of the wave by doing that. So it's like I get all the power out now by the way that the coil is run.
Quick question. The pickup coils, are they winded in parallel with the larger coil, or are they perpendicularly wound compared to the main coil?
Perpendicular.
Awesome. That's one of the secrets I needed for trying to replicate your good stuff. Thank you.
Well, the these coils seem to push the field out of the side, right? Because it compresses in the middle. There's like a null zone right in the center, almost like a sphere. Because those two vortexes hit, it's like it shoots out a plane in the center of the coil. And by doing that, it enables me to pick up that energy on the outside.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And so it's perpendicular to that pattern that you just said, where